All right, guys, let's talk about ZRL. Now, the Zwift Racing League, as you have no doubt already seen, is officially started. And yesterday we started with the TTT on what is best described as a flatty flat flat, roundabout, flatty flat flat, roundabout, flatty flat, and then sprint finish. And truly the best way to describe that course. Now, obviously, it being on the southern coast, there is some rollers in there, but you're talking about 2-3%, maybe spiking up to like 5-6% for tens of meters. So it's not something that really is going to make a huge impact unless you're already going into this struggling, or you're not used to the TTT dynamic and format, and that inexperience can hurt you on a stage like that where there are so many rollers. Now, just to rewind a bit, this is now my second official season going into ZRL. And I say that because I participated, when I started last year, it was the second to the last round, and then I also participated in the finals. And as you guys are either already aware, or if you're new to the channel, you might not already know yet, but the team that I was on last year, we won.
I know this sounds like a humble brag.
We won for our division, and that is really what's been the underpinning of my mindset going into this race. Is we won last year, and I'm not ready to give up.
Hey, beautiful crowd!
And so going into this, I don't want to say I've put a lot of pressure on myself, because I try to put smart pressure on myself in the sense that I'm going to work hard. I'm going to fine tune my nutrition strategy, my hydration strategy, and my, race schedule in order to ensure that I'm always performing my best for team events. Now, I do 3 different team events, generally 3 different team events a week. The fourth one would be the Monday races, if I get a chance to participate in those, especially if the entire collective of the Pain Inc. family, Team Donuts, as we've referred it to as well, is in the pen. Then we can have a lot of fun, create some havoc, but at the end of the day, that is secondary priority to the specific team events. And so coming into this race, I was thinking, okay, well, the team I was on last year is a bit different than what we're on this year. So the team that I'm on right now, you'll see some familiar names from other team events that I've done, ladder races, or the regular Thursday TTTs. And then there's some new names. Now, the bigger faction team that I'm on, 30 Watts, has fielded probably about, I want to say somewhere between 6 to 10 teams throughout all the categories, if not more than that. So we're a large family of teams. In the C pen itself, because remember, ZRL is split up into the individual color groupings, and then from there, that is then split into A, B, C, D pace groups. And so me being a C pace group rider, and in the Indigo League, we've got quite a bit of teams in there. We're probably fielding maybe 5 or 6 teams in there alone. And so the 3 main teams that I've been on in the past, the Grinders, the Dogs, and the Drafters, are all in that same pen. We're all kind of in that same division. And so I get to high-five some of my former teammates as we're going on the road, as we're racing through events. But at the end of the day, the team that I'm on right now, the Grinders, is a team that I'm focused on bringing forward into that championship race and winning the championships once again. Now, nothing's guaranteed. Now, again, the TTT that we did for round 1 or for stage 1 is a new route, but it's on familiar roads. We started out going basically from the pen that's right in front of the grade, and then we head out, we hang a right, go down the southern coast, go out to the desert, make a U-turn, come back, the same exact route, come back to the, to the in front of the grade, do the roundabout again, and then head back out into the Sasquatch Sprint, which is basically the last portion of the race. And, as a team with people that were not used to racing the TTT, we spent a lot of time up front right before the race went underway in order to talk about what the dynamics look like. One of our guys was completely brand new to the TTT format, while a couple others, hadn't raced it as much or in a while. And, myself and a couple others had raced it every week. And so we did have a good dynamic of riders with experience, a dynamic variety of experience, which allowed us to give a good opportunity to talk through what it's like, what the experience is like going into this. Now, initially, I did start off with my ZRL jersey in order to just kind of remind myself that, hey, I've got a jersey on my shoulders that is mine to lose. If I do what I can and help, lead the team through my actions, then we can succeed. And the jersey will stay mine, and so on and so forth. Or as we started to hit the ground running, a familiar name popped up in Discord and a familiar voice in my ear with Craig. And that for me it took a lot of weight off of my shoulders, because Craig is such an experienced, not only racer, but an experienced DS. And so he jumped in, DS'd for us, which was absolutely fantastic. Again, in the ladder races, he's DS'd for us many times. So having him come on to, our voice channel not only felt special, but also for me personally gave me this sense of calm of like, oh, we're in great hands. Because now we don't have to battle each other in Discord, in chat, talking over each other, trying to help people navigate where to be, when to push up, when to ease off. We have now one person that can do that for us and can keep an eye on all of us. And so that really made for a great experience. And for those that are new, I hope that made for a great experience. And so as we head out the pen, we all got in formation as best as possible. Now, one thing they did change this year that I don't recall if they changed that for the WTRL TTTs, for the weekly TTTs, but they definitely did it for ZRL, is that now the official time doesn't start until the lead-in ends. And so that made for a good opportunity to not only get organized, but get up to speed. And so as we got up to speed, as we got organized, the timer officially started and we were off. And so I'll go ahead and go through that in the editing room, so that way I can at least talk a little bit through what the race was like. But again, with the description of flatty, flat, flat, roundabout, flatty, flat, flat, roundabout, flatty, flat, and then finish, it pretty much sums up what the experience was like.
Good luck, everybody.
All right, here we go. Good luck.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
Let's go.
You guys are all together now, so Simon, you can start whenever you want.
Making my way to the front. I'll be on the front in just a sec. And my clock hasn't started, so I will give a time shortly when it does. There we
How
go.
long is
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'll go to 1 minute.
All right.
Great.
We go on deck.
Miguel, you're on deck. So always best if you could be like second or third wheel. You don't want to be in the back there when you're on deck.
All right, guys. So as you see, communication when it comes to a team time trial is key. It doesn't matter what you're communicating about, as long as it's regards to the dynamics of the TTT. You don't want to spend a lot of time chit-chatting because there is important information. Like if you've ever seen a rocket launch, you know there's specific call-outs that you need to hear. So when people are announcing
the rocket launches, usually the announcers will pause anytime they hear a call out, so that way the people that need to hear it can hear it. And that's basically the same thing when it comes to a team time trial. You want to know when people are going up on the front. You want to know when people are coming up in the hole or, in standby in the second wheel, so that way they can, they can relieve the person in front when it's their turn. You want to know how long people are going to be riding for. Some of us were choosing to do a minute pulls. Others were doing, 30 second, 45 seconds, a minute and a half. I know Simon towards the middle part of the race, he started doing 2-minute pulls and then extending that out a little bit more. Did a fantastic job with these monster pulls. And then towards the, 2/3-ish range of the race, I started doing 2-minute pulls, which I got to say, man, that was, I didn't think 2 minutes at, 3.5-ish, because I was going between 3.5 and 4.0 would hurt. But by the end of the second minute, I was definitely in pain. And so that was a good length for me with this, with this team. And so as we hit this roundabout, we are not quite at the halfway mark, but basically at the halfway mark at this point. And so we started putting some more pressure on to go a little bit faster. We were doing really good. The team that went in front of us, the coalition team, we were closing in on them. We cut down about already almost 30 seconds at this point. And so, they left a minute ahead of us, and for us to take back 30 seconds, we felt really good. We felt like it was a strong ride. Now, me doing this every Thursday, I know that, if we can maintain a specific speed, especially around the 43 to 46 kilometer per hour range, that'll always put us in a position where we could maximize our placement in the race. So while I wasn't intentionally trying to push those speeds, I was just trying to stay in the 3.5 to 4.0 range, which I know would kind of guarantee that pace. And ultimately that worked out well for us. Now we did have a couple guys that, we're having to, by this point, skip turns or take shorter turns. 100% understandable. Usually at this point, everybody's feeling, hurt at some point. Except for Simon, it seemed like. Simon seemed to continuously stretch out his turns at this point. He was doing fantastic. I was feeling okay. You can see my heart rate, it was in the 160s. Most of the race, it was in the 140s until the second half, and then, pushing a little bit more, stayed in the 160s, 170s. And again, it felt good. It didn't feel like I was overstretching myself. And so as we get to the roundabout here again, going around this, fountain right before the grade, we are getting ready to enter, really what was the hardest part of the stage, where we just really wanted to push as hard as we can, especially towards the end. I knew my last turn was going to end up being close to the very end. So I figured, I was like, you know what? I'm coming up with about a kilometer left. Now at this point, Craig and everybody were like, all right, instead of doing our regular, minute, 2-minute pulls, let's back it down to about 30 seconds and then just kind of keep rotating through. Usually at this point is where your TTT switches from timed pulls off the front to just keep pushing through each other. When you're on the front, when someone's on the front, just push to get past them, and we keep that domino effect going, or that leapfrog effect going, until we get to the end. We've got about 500 meters to go, and at this point, I knew that I wasn't going to get off the front until I crossed that line. And so I just kept the pressure, kept pushing, kept pulling our guys as best as I could. I didn't want to drop them and leave them behind, but I wanted to make sure that I stayed close, close enough to essentially pull them with me. And so those 4 of us that were going to go, we basically started pushing a lot harder. Now it ended up being all 6 of us that, made it across the line basically at the same time. And so we just kept pushing as hard as we could to try and catch that coalition team right on the line. And again, as we got closer to the line, I knew we weren't going to be, that far, not only behind, but also I didn't want to create too much of a separation between me and the riders behind me. And so as you see the, team cross the line basically almost together. We got 5 guys across the line at the exact same time, which is a fantastic finish to this race. And it really, really felt like we did a great job coming across the line. I don't know the official time because the results page on the WTRL site hasn't come up, but you can see there I crossed the line at 37:22, which again, for our team. I think we did a fantastic job. We really showcased our not only our experience but our ability to push our limits within our field, within our league.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hope this gives you a good insight into not only what a time trial is like, but what an effective time trial is like. As you guys saw, when we crossed the line, we were in first place. Now, suffice to say that there are a lot of strong teams, and one of the teams that last year really kept the pressure on us was Z-Sun Racing. And of course, they are doing it again this year, coming out with a strong showing, and ultimately took first place by the end of the night. And so our team rounded out the evening in second place for this first stage. Now, us being the Dirty Watts family as a whole, being a TTT squad, I feel like that puts a lot of good effort, or not effort, good pressure, good reason for us to do well in a TTT. Like, we are practiced, we are experienced, we are effective when it comes to our TTTs. So in theory, we should perform well. A lot of other teams may or may not participate in the TTTs every week. They may or may not have organized squads. That is on them. I know for us, we field a lot of teams in the weekly TTTs. So I know we go into a time trial, especially with ZRL, we go into a time trial where historically we do really well. The rest of the stages will be what they are. Like I said, last year, because our team, the team that I was on at the time, won the championship, we know that we have what it takes to win again. And I know going into the strategy that I will confer with our team with when it comes to the points races, whether it's a points race for segments or a scratch race where it's just the points at the end that count. And so the stages are going to be a little bit different, so the dynamics are always going to change based on the routes. But at the end of the day, I know our team has what it takes. I know we're experienced and we know how to win. We just got to execute on that this time around. Now, this is the first round of several, so anything can change between now and the finals. And so that is not only the teams themselves, because people come and go. This is, for most people, this is, secondary to their normal lives. So it's expected. People come and go, teams change, names change. Ultimately, my focus is on getting through all the rounds. And again, keeping that championship jersey on my shoulders. But for now, starting off strong, I know that we can do great things. And again, I hope this is informative. I hope this inspires you guys. If you like this type of racing, feel free to reach out, join the family, and we will figure out how to get you in, whether it's this race itself, or this round of ZRL, the next rounds of ZRL, or any of the team racing that we do on a weekly basis. Have a great day. Cheers. See you on the next fight.